Did you guys miss me? Because I missed being here with you guys here on Gina Honestly, making content. So we're back, we're doing things. I can't say that I apologize for being gone because honestly, I needed the break. Life is always lifing, and I've been going through a lot of things outside of work that have just been keeping me, like my personal life, I should say. Truly, it's been my personal life that I just needed to spend some time focusing on and making sure that I was prioritizing my mental health, which I actually think is very timely because we are in the middle of May. And for those that don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is a cause that is extremely important to me. And I wanted to spend this episode coming back to you guys talking about mental health and share a little bit about my journey for those that are new here and aren't extremely familiar with my story. So, to kick things off, I have anxiety and I have dealt with depression for about a decade now. And it's not something that I shy away from, that I don't talk about. I have been extremely vocal over the years, but I didn't start out that way. I actually suffered in silence for quite some time and really had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that I was battling with anxiety and depression because I didn't have a name for it, right? I just knew I was feeling things and was just figuring that I needed to work my way through them and that what I was going through was no different than any other person and that I was just struggling. Absolutely not. Yes, anxiety is something that a lot of people go through, but as you know, to an extent, anxiety is normal. It's the fear of the unknown. That in and of itself is not the problem, but it's when it becomes to the point that it has you in a chokehold and like you can't get everyday tasks done and everyday activities. That's when you know that you're reaching a problem. And for me, that is 100% the case. I can't really say with certainty when I feel like it really started. I know that in 2017, I was definitely 2017, 2018 were two very, very hard years of my life for multiple reasons, whether it was like my trying to figure out my path of like what I wanted to do at that point. I had been out of school. I had graduated from undergrad by I think like 2 to 3 years at that point. And I really feel like I was finding myself and I was really nervous about like where my life was going to take me. I felt like my biological clock was ticking because that's everything that I was being told in my 20s was that like, oh, like you need to be, married by a certain time, you need to be having kids by a certain time, just clock's ticking, ticking, ticking. And that was something that was really making me nervous because I wanted all of those things, right? I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. I just knew that that was the plan for my life. And when things were not going according to plan, I started to spiral and I got into a relationship that was really, really a tough spot in my life. It was hard. It was the hardest relationship I'd ever been in. I was in love. I'm not going to say I thought I was in love because no, at that time I was in love with this person. And it was probably the most toxic relationship I had ever been in. And I have never publicly talked about it like to an audience about that relationship. My friends and family know, but I've never talked about it like on a platform. So here I am diving in, right, to share this. That relationship took me through it. And I'm not going to say that that relationship caused my anxiety and depression, but it definitely took me like completely submerged me underwater, so to speak. And I stayed in it for a long time because I didn't want to feel like a failure. I didn't want to feel like I didn't give it my all. And like I said, I loved this person. I thought that I was going to marry him. I thought that he was my future. And things didn't work out that way. And it was a really tough, I would say we had a tough year. The first year of the relationship probably wasn't as tough, but that second year was definitely tough. There were a lot of decisions that needed to be made, and we were both navigating things where, like, I give him some grace with what he was dealing with, but I also know what I was dealing with in my own life separate from him. But then, like, together in the relationship, we were just struggling. So I was doing the best that I could to manage the relationship and just try to do everything I could to make it work. I asked to go to therapy, and it just got to a place where we were not seeing eye to eye. And that's when things really took a turn. It just got really toxic. We were just not good for each other in that moment. And I remember getting to a place where I was so fearful to look at my phone and see a message from him and just being afraid of like what conversation we were going to have and just uh, my anxiety levels were high all the time in that relationship. And maybe at some point I'll be willing to share more than that, but we'll just leave it at that. Just know that it was a rough relationship. And towards the end, I was just, my anxiety levels were so high and it pulled me into such a deep depression. I was not taking care of myself at all. I was completely unhealthy. I was at the largest weight that I had ever been at in my life, which is also something that I had already like struggled with, but it just got exponentially worse during that relationship. And I had like maxed out the scale. I was probably 70-ish pounds, overweight at that point. And it was just, everything was just eating me up. Like this relationship, what was going on with us, things with work and trying to figure out school and like my future and just everything that I wanted to do. And it was just, I was drowning and it took me to very, very dark places. I was suicidal. I had suicidal ideations. I was dreaming it up, planning it, thinking it, wanting it to happen. And I went through a year of pure just hell. And it was just a very, very hard time in my life. And then I started to like see that like I needed the help, right? It took me some time. I started realizing that this wasn't right. I couldn't put a finger on why I didn't think it was right, but it wasn't until I reconnected with a friend, someone that I hadn't spoken to probably in like about like a year's time. Like we had maybe surface level, like hi and bye, but like actually having a genuine, real like conversation. I had a real, genuine conversation with this person. And it was one of the first times I felt that I had smiled, that I was feeling any sense of happiness. And it made me realize like I saw that glimpse of who I was. And for that brief moment, it was like the light that I needed to see to show me that something was really wrong. And it still took me some time. I didn't do anything about it then, but through reconnecting with this person, I eventually realized that I needed to make a change and that I needed to probably back out of that relationship. And that was something that was really hard for me to come to terms with. But I started realizing that without doing that, am I ever going to be okay again and be happy? Or am I going to continue down this path? Am I going to hurt myself? So I essentially did end up leaving that relationship. And that was one of the hardest decisions of my life, but the most important decision because I don't think I would be here talking to you guys today if I did not get out of that relationship because I was going to hurt myself. If I stayed, I would have. And to be honest with you, I don't know whether I would have or he would have, just to put that out there. But it was definitely getting to a place that it was getting dark. So, I left that relationship and I started going to therapy for the first time in my life. This was probably about, by this point, it was 2020. And I had gone through another really, really bad loss. My mentor, Angela, love you. My mentor, Angela, passed away. And I knew it was coming, but it still hit me really, really hard when she died at the end of 2019. So by the time 2020 happened, although I had left the relationship and I was getting like trying to think that I was like working on myself, I was still deep in it because I had had, this loss of the relationship, loss of the the mentor, and just obviously the pandemic started, and I started getting therapy after like the shutdown happened. And that was the greatest thing that I ever could have done, was getting to this place of like wanting to do it and realizing that we could do so many things virtually. And that helped me because then I was able to seek out care and find like the right place for me. It was really important that I had a Black therapist. Like I wanted someone that could understand me. So I went ahead and I started therapy, and I haven't stopped since. And there have been times where I was going once a week. There have been times where, I haven't needed to go for like maybe once a month or so, but it was really a journey, a long journey. And I think I'm going to spend the rest of this month making episodes that are purely just about mental health because I have learned so much from being in therapy about myself, about things that I didn't even realize had affected me as much as it did. And I want to make sure that I talk about some of those things, maybe not in as much detail. We'll see how I feel, but I definitely think that just talking about the tools that you can get from therapy and how you're able to implement them in your lives. And I do feel like I've become so much more of an effective communicator. I'm more in tune with my emotions, and I have become a much better person from going to therapy. I think that there were people that I hurt along the way. Some I've been able to apologize to and atone for, and then there are some that I don't think I ever really got the chance to apologize to them in the right way. And maybe one day I will be able to do that. But through my years of therapy, I have come to see that it can just be spread and it's permeated, and you can hurt people even when you don't mean to through your own hurt. And that was what happened, right? There were people in my life that were hurt by situations, and then they hurt me. And then I, in turn, ended up doing the same thing. And I feel like it just continues on. It's like this never ending like cycle of trauma and hurt and pain. And I'm just happy that I'm in a better place. And I will not sit here and lie to you and act like everything's just peaches and roses and is okay, because I'm not okay, right? I just said that I took off from making content for the last few weeks because of the situations that I've been dealing with and the mental toll that it has taken on me. One thing that I've learned in therapy is that it's not linear when it comes to battling with anxiety and depression. There's peaks and valleys. There are times where I'm doing really well and I'm riding on this high and it's great. And then like there's these times where I get into these low valleys of periods of time where things are just not going well, and then I'm struggling, right? And I think that through therapy I've had to learn that it's okay for me to not be perfect, because that's a trigger for me, not being perfect. I think that coming to that realization that life is gonna life, and I have to be able to roll with the punches and know that when I go through things, I can go through them, I can acknowledge them, but don't let it consume all of me. And that's something I really, really struggled with. And even to this day, I still have to work through, and being more open and asking for help when I need it, and just realizing that I don't have to people please and that the only person I need to please is myself. Like just all of these things. There's just so much that I've learned through therapy, and I'm forever grateful that I did it. Your mental health matters so much. I think it's the one area of health that is often overlooked, because when you have a cut, you break a bone, anything like that, like it's right there, it's tangible, you can see it. But when it's your mind, it's not something that you're able to see. but the wounds are just as deep, if not more. Like I feel like I have broken bones. I have had a C-section, been cut through, 7 layers of my body. But I don't think there's anything that has been ever been like more painful for me than the battle with my mind, because it is a daily battle. It's something that it's chronic, and it has led me to want to actually do physical harm to myself. I'm happy that I am here. I'm happy that I didn't do that. And I'm so thankful that I got the help that I needed and that I had a loving family around me that has supported me and still continues to support me through everything. And if you guys are listening to this, which I know you guys do, I love you. I appreciate you. You'll never know how much you guys matter to me and how staying here for myself is important, but I do acknowledge the fact that wanting to be here and live life with you guys is also important to me as well. So I say all that to say, if there's someone out there that's struggling, know that you matter, know that you're not alone. Your life has meaning, and there is help out there if you need it. So I will have in the description comment somewhere under the caption, rather, I'm going to have some resources out there. Some of them will be resources that were given to me that I actually used and that I still have access to because I know how hard things can be. And that is it. Tell someone today that you love them. Do a nice gesture, send a text, say hi to someone out on the street. You never know whose life you're going to impact. Because there were definitely days where I was at my lowest of lows, and somebody simply just being kind to me made all the difference on that day. So I love you guys, and that is it for today on Gina Honestly.